a part of this 3 or 4 minute little broadcast where I share some thoughts from my book, Ponder This, with you. And I pray that you're receiving some seed, and I'll guarantee you it eventually will produce fruit. All right? Because that's what the Word says. Let's get into our thought for today. We're actually in the latter part of week 31 in the book. I'm not on schedule for the exact weeks we're operating in. I'm doing some catch-up work here. All right. Here's the kingdom principle. If you can see it with your spiritual eye, you can have it. But you've got to see it. The sick have to see themselves well. You can't continue to see yourself sick. You have to get your eyes off of where you are and by faith see where you want to be. You say, Pastor, give me a word for that. Well, I'll tell you this. The Word of God says God spoke to that was not as if it was. Okay, did you get that? God spoke to that was not. In other words, that is not tangible as if it was tangible. And it became. Why? Because God spoke it. We could even say he utilized God's faith, which takes us back to that subject of faith that I dealt with a little bit yesterday, where faith is the substance. This is substance. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence, proof of things not seen, you see. And so it's faith when you speak to that is not as if it was, knowing that when you ask according to the will of God, it's going to be done. God honors your faith. God honors your request. God is there for you. And so with that spiritual eye, and it's that spiritual part of man that exists through faith, all right? Faith in God, faith in the Word of God, faith in what God says. So you began to confess it, you began to believe God for it, you began to stand on what the Word says. See, the Word said, ask anything. And to me, that is a big, big word. Ask anything in my name and I will do it. Okay? That same word says that God will supply all of my needs according to his riches in glory. In other words, my supply is not dependent upon what man controls, but it is dependent upon what God has. So he said, I will supply all of your need. That's an important word there. A lot of the things we ask for, we don't need them. As a matter of fact, if God gave us everything we asked for, we'd probably end up a whole lot worse off than we are at the time we ask. So we need to understand, ask, visualize, believe for what you need for God to meet your needs. Standing on that Word of God where he said, ask and you shall receive. You say, preacher, that sounds almost impossible. Well, let's look at that. All things are possible to him that believe. That's what the Word of God says. You said, do you believe what's in that book? Every single word that's in there. I believe it. If God said it, in my mind, that settles it. All right. Okay. And so you've got to do the same thing. Ponder on this. All right. And get word, get in the book of God, study what God says. God love you. Tomorrow I'll be right back with another thought. Goodbye.